Thanks for tuning in to the Animal Control Report podcast, where we help debunk the dog catcher stereotype. A lot of times people think it's the dog catcher when they hear about animal control officers. But here on the Animal Control Report, we change that by taking you inside the day-to-day operations of animal control officers. Not only will you hear stories of animal control officers, but you'll hear from industry experts as well. We are also part of the Keep It Humane podcast network. We have some amazing partners there, so check them out at keepithumane.com/podcast network. You can listen to all the animal control and animal welfare related podcasts there. And let's continue to help people help animals. All right, we are back. Thanks for joining us. This is part 2 of the episode, Still No Kill? We were literally bringing animals in because we didn't have strays. So we would get those animals from other communities because we had no adoptable pets. And then you go to certain neighborhoods that I worked in, and it's like, holy crap, there's stray dogs running around everywhere. So you can't pull one place and say, well, if you looked at the data and you determine that healthy and aggressive animals are going to make up 10%. Yeah, that might be true in one community, but it's not going to be true in another community. So why are we having this arbitrary benchmark that there's no science or data that can truly support it?
That's a very good question. And I don't know, for all those years, I just accepted it, because it used to make more sense to me, honestly, when I was on the inside. And when Utah was moving in the right direction,
why did it make more sense? Please elaborate.
Well, because I accepted it, because I was part of that mission, and I thought, okay, well, this is how it is, and this is what we're working towards. And I actually wanted to ask, because I don't have that perspective. I do now that I'm on the outside, but have the terms no kill and save them all always been offensive, or have they gotten more offensive since everyone's struggling now and the pressure of trying to reach 2025,
I'll speak for myself really
okay.
quickly. And Bishops, I would love to turn it over to you so you can strike diagonally here, because they are on the board diagonally anyway. For me, I mean, in the field, anytime I pick, I should have taken a freaking notebook and had every time I picked up an animal as a stray or whatever it was, and just had a box. Did they ask unprovoked, are you a no kill or not no kill? And I'll tell you right now, majority would say, are you a no kill shelter? Are you a no kill shelter? So you spend half of your time on those calls trying to explain to them that no, we're not necessarily no kill, but we also don't just put dogs or cats down. Like, there's a process, and why we would do it is X, Y, and Z.
I would say getting into way back when I was starting my career in any kind of animal welfare, almost 20 years ago now, I was not, first of all, I didn't know until just within the last couple of years that this was started by best friends specifically. I knew about, no-kill shelters. We have a no-kill shelter, which is limited intake. And then we have our local humane society. And I worked for the local nonprofit humane society. And I remember I took a jaunt out to the no-kill facility once, the no-kill facility. And I was angered because I literally went back by the dog kennels, and there was a dog in there that the staff flat out told me, yeah, this dog's been here for quite some time. It has a bite history. It's bitten so many people. It bites unprovoked. We never really know when it bites. And I'm sitting there going, you're just going to let this dog live the rest of its life in its kennel. And that just royally angered me. So forevermore at that point, I was just, no kill is not where it's at if you are going to do it that way. Which if you go based on, again, what specifically Dan and I have had conversations with people from Best Friends, and they have specifically said to us, well, no, that would be a situation where it would be okay to euthanize. But now we have the shelter who is presenting as a no-kill facility. They don't even know what it means.
ARB, what's your thought on that
Yeah.
from your perspective?
Of the term no kill.
Yeah,
I
like,
mean,
yeah.
I, I've always hated the term. Again, for me, being from Texas, um, I always tell people, with as long as I've been doing this, I don't know in my lifetime will we ever see a point where we're not in the crisis that we're in today and since I started. I see how no kill hurts. It hurts my facility every single day. I can't tell you countless people who get angry at us who don't even know who we are, as a facility, as an agency, even though we are a government facility, don't even bother to ask what kind of programs we have for the community, what kind of other programs we offer our citizens and things like that. And it hurts us every single day. I see it on social media, oh, well, don't call animal control because they're just going to take it back to the shelter and kill it. Like, come on, people, and that's why, when I took over, we're very honest with everybody. Every animal that comes through a shelter will get a chance, regardless of whatever somebody says when the animal comes in. Oh, it was aggressive towards so and so or blah, blah, blah. We evaluate every single animal. If it's safe for the public, then we're all about it. And, if we find that it's not, then, we have to make those tough decisions. But I just think the rhetoric overall in our industry needs to go away because we're not helping anybody. We can't continue to be competitive with one another when we're all trying to achieve the same goal.
So you can actually trace the lineage of no kill back to 1944 through the North Shore Animal League, which is out in Long Island. North Shore Animal League and Dog Protective Association, led by animal advocate Mary Ann Sanders, began rescuing homeless pets and animals around the town of North Hempstead, Long Island. The association then dedicated itself to this no-kill philosophy. And then if you fast forward to 1960, they had an opportunity to take the animal control contract. And they basically said, we do not want to do that. We would rather remain a no-kill facility. And so they passed the animal control contract on to the municipal government to handle it themselves. And so we're talking 1944. I was probably like 10 years old at that time. And so, but the reality is like, it's bigger than Best Friends and it's bigger than Nathan Winograd or Rich Avanzio or
Benzino.
that guy, those people, these people, I can't pronounce their name. Sorry for butchering your names if you guys listen. If I don't know if Richard's still alive though. But it's bigger than that. I think what made, in my personal opinion, from what I know of just no kill in general, what made Best Friends popular amongst the community is they took some of the Michael Vick fighting dogs. And so that really gave them national headlines. And they were like, oh, wait, we might be able to capitalize on these headlines. And they have. Now, some of the programs that are out there can be valuable to the community. I think they could do so, in my opinion. And if anyone's from listening, Julie, if you're listening, whoever's listening, Brent, I know you stop by from time to time, though you and I don't talk much anymore. Feel free to reach out so we can talk. Best Friends could do so much more if they just dropped the damn slogans and dropped this like benchmark and just focused on helping the community without that you have to meet this benchmark. I mean, it creates much more harm than it does good. And though they have some support from some, they could have more support if they found different language. Simple as
And
that.
how much more money would they be getting if they did, because they wouldn't be spending it? If we think about Dansville and all of that that's going on, that, our episode from last week, how much money are they spending on that to try to put the shelter down? And yet they could be putting that into spay neuter efforts or bringing
Oh,
in
and then
veterinarian or low cost
some of the
clinics.
some of the best advertisement is word of mouth. And so if you get support, best friends is a great name in general. I mean, it's, we all think of our pets as our best friends. So they have a great captivating name there. But the reality of it being is like the word of mouth isn't there. So because you have a group of people that are like, yeah, we don't want to associate or do business with that type of group because they kind of force their ideology. And we all know the foundation of best friends. We all know where it actually came from. And they still carry that ideology into this organization now, though people may not want to believe that. It's true. You can see it in everything that they do. It's very similar. And I just, at the end of the day, like, I mean, the reason I think we do this podcast is to continue to help people help animals. And we try to do that by, sure, having difficult conversations because you have to. You can't continue on through life without having difficult conversations. And what I ask those folks over there is, let's have a bigger discussion. Let's brainstorm with some of. It doesn't need to be me. It doesn't need to be ARB or AB, but let's have some sort of stakeholder meeting where we can discuss the next steps of animal welfare. Why can't all these big figureheads, all the big organizations kind of come together as one, not necessarily as like one organization, but as one group and have some discussions on how we better help this industry? And that's as simple. It's really this simple. Access to care, no cost, low cost spay and neuter. And then we get through attrition, we get no kill. It's as simple as that, but we have to create it. We have to go federal, like national on this. We have to create some sort of campaign, something that creates with using these people that have hundreds of millions of dollars, using their power and their marketing. And that includes all of the organizations that may not get along, figuring out ways to just, hey, let's focus on rolling out this, this Bob Barker campaign, whatever we want to call it, spay and neuter your pets. And here's why. And then through attrition, we get there. And then at some point we're importing animals, not because we want to, because it's cute and sounds great for an Instagram story, but then we are actually importing animals from other countries because we have no other stray animals here to do that with. And then we can help on a global scale. But until we get to that point, there's always going to be that kind of battle between the two phrases or thoughts or processes.
Well, I think it's ironic that the division and the polarization is actually preventing. I mean, it's only one of the things. There are a lot of situations, as we've talked about, that are leading to the crisis that we're in currently, but it certainly doesn't help to polarize potential pet acquirers and make them feel like they won't adopt from a shelter that needs the adoptions and that needs the support or donations or fosters, or, if you play the good guy, bad guy card, then you're going to end up with a certain limit of no kill shelters, and then everybody else that's struggling because the people in the community won't support those shelters because they're perceived as the bad guys. And I don't know why national organizations can't see that division is hurting animals.
Think about it. I'm going to put this out there as just a general brain, and y'all could laugh me out of the show right now, but just hear me out here. We hear our communities, and it's changed from when I was a kid. Our pets are family members now. We want to see them as sentient beings. Why not create a national campaign, somehow work with some of our attorneys that can write up great things and say, if you adopt a shelter pet and keep it licensed throughout its lifetime so we can assure that you still have this shelter pet, you can deduct it from your fucking taxes. I'm not joking. Like, we all want to call them our fur babies. Ugh, I hate saying that word. But why don't we work on a campaign that says, and so now we're incentivizing it. So not only are we helping our animal shelters by making sure that animals are being seen by a veterinary regularly, so we know that they have their shots, they get their annual license, those things. And there's accountability there. But then the bonus is, well, now this is a deduction on our freaking tax. Like, it's a no-brainer to me. I don't know why we haven't, instead of like spending our money and marketing dollars and our energy on like, oh, well, just join the club, get on the 90% train. We're only it's like going from New York City to California, but I'm only going to take you 90% there. So then when I get to Utah, I got to walk the rest of the way.
That's definitely an interesting thought, and I don't know that our country is not ready for that yet. I think we need to, in general, get some other things situated.
But it doesn't have to be exactly that, Bishop, but it's actually, yeah, the way that I present it is kind of like loose in the aspects of like there needs to be some more thought around it. But my point is we want people to treat animals how we think they should be treated. Sentient beings, not property. So why we got to incentivize it, and then how do we do it? Through things like tax refund
Well,
things.
first and foremost, we get laws that make them sentient beings and not property.
I think
Like,
it's a tough battle overall, whether it's slogans or anything. As everybody on this call knows, animals are at the bottom of the list everywhere. You know, we're gonna until the nation turns around and, like y'all are saying, sees them as sentient beings. Tax dollars are gonna go to the potholes because people think that's more important until they have to deal with one of us. And of course, we're never doing our job right until they know that we're not doing it. So I don't know. I hate to be the doom and gloom, but I don't see it happening in our lifetime. I really
You know
don't.
what also people didn't see happening? This guy named Henry Bergh in 1866 starting an organization that has changed the way that we've handled animals in our community. So I always challenge people. Like, do we want to continue to be just nameless gray faces, or do we want to push to create change? And so I'm not saying that that is what it has to be, but I challenge if I ever had an opportunity, and I'm going to name names right now. I'm going to throw this out there. It would be groups like HSUS. It would be ASPCA. It would be Best Friends. It would be PETA. Also, they would be thrown in there, and we'd probably throw some of the other ones in there like Maddie's Fun, ALDF, Shelter Animals Counts, maybe NACA. Like we would throw AWA in there. Like get one or two people representing these groups, get them together, and let's figure out do some sort of strategic planning. How can we focus on the common good? Because right now we know we have these programs, whether it's Finder to Foster to find. Wait, Finder to Foster. Yeah.
Yeah, find it or foster.
Or whether it's TNR, or whether it's creating, because some of these groups do a great job having spay and neuter, services at their shelter. One of my favorite shelters in Greenville, South Carolina, they have a clinic that they provide no cost spay and neuter services to people that are on government assistance. It's an amazing clinic. They do almost 10,000 not vaccines, spay and neuters a year. But like, so we have some of those things in place, but we don't have a governing body. We don't have anything to create what the standards are. We have ideas and suggestions, but we need to put our collective heads together, because there's some brilliant motherfuckers in this industry, and we need to get them together and figure out how we drop these silos and just start working together for what? To help the freaking animals. That's what our goal is.
you know
Sorry,
what we do
fired
have
up.
though,
I'm a
Dan?
little fired up right now.
You know what we do have that nobody saw coming? Temma, who has created a nonprofit organization doing the one thing that we have talked about on the show numerous times, and bringing low cost. Is it all medical care, or is it just spay neuter?
Well, right now we're just painting and doing the floors, but it will be just spay neuter. And
Okay.
I am very hopeful. I'm calling it the Field of Dreams project because as everyone knows, there's a shortage of veterinarians.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've got a veterinarian that's interested, and I'm hoping that I can get her to be, even if we start it just a few days a week. But I say just spay neuter, but I really want to target I want to do things like, you know, a spay it forward program, or sponsor a spay where people can donate to get another animal, somebody else's animal spayed or neutered for free. I want to fundraise and do some free, you know, spay neuter. And I want to target some of these. I feel like there's like this whole, besides backyard breeders, there's now a whole class of home breeders that are just people breeding their pets because they can, you know, it ends in oodle and they can sell them, or they thought they can sell them. And the Humane Society of Utah said that they get in at least a litter a week from breeders who can't sell them because of the saturation here. And so I want to provide an off-ramp or an exit strategy for people, because, you know, in any other case of overproduction, if there's too much of something, you stop producing it, but your dogs are not going to stop producing if they live together. So, you know, people who counted on making money on selling puppies and can't sell them now are facing spending money to get them spayed or neutered. And I would love to be able to help some of those people just stop making more puppies. And so I think that will make, I mean, there is low cost spay neuter in this area, but it's booked out months and months. And a lot of the other clinics are, you know, I don't know if you guys have done a show yet on the private equity firms buying out veterinary clinics.
We haven't done a show, but
Mhm.
it's becoming more and more common. Yeah.
There's
Yep.
a lot of media attention to that right now, and people are getting quotes of, you know, $1,000 to spay or neuter a cat, or
That's
the
insane.
guy who brought my my surgery table, which I bought on eBay, from Arizona up to Salt Lake. It's like U-Ship, which is like Uber for shipping. So this guy, when I explained to him what I was doing, he said that he has a 6-year-old golden retriever who's not spayed, and he's just been really careful to, you know, keep her from getting pregnant. He called to get a quote and got a $1,600 quote to spay his dog. And he's like, that's a month's rent. I can't afford that. So people are absolutely being priced out of even being able to spay neuter, which, I mean, honestly, many years ago, teams from Best Friends went down to Edinburgh, Texas, to reconnect at the Palm Valley Clinic to supposedly, you know, have us, because a lot of people at Best Friends never worked in shelters. And so we took our little teams down to Edinburgh to reconnect to the mission. And you know, Edinburgh at the time was taking in 32,000 animals a year at this one little shelter, which was probably 2/3 or 3/4 of what the whole state of Utah was taking in. And they said that all the vets in the area were in collusion, and they were charging $500 for spaying and neutering. And at that time I was like, $500? Who can afford $500? Well, that's, you know, barely above low cost now, now that it's $1,000 or $1,500. But I said at the time to our little team, why doesn't Best Friends open a high volume, low cost spay neuter clinic down here? That's what every dog, you know, all the females had puppies, all the males were intact. And there were rows and rows and rows and rows of kennels and puppies. And I was like, they need spay neuter. And they're like, well, that's not our focus. And I can't even, I mean, I could tell you, we could do a whole other show on the reasons I was told that spay neuter wasn't the focus by people at Best Friends that I respected. And I was like, how do you think we can get where we think we're going without spay neuter? Like it's mind blowing to me.
What was the focus?
The focus, I mean, in the last few years, I was told, and this is when I was still there, wanting to talk about spay neuter, because I saw, since the pandemic, I saw the normalization of buying dogs and not getting them spayed or neutered so people could earn their money back by breeding them, or at least not wanting to spend the money on spay neuter. So in 2021, I was like, I wrote a survey and I said, we need to survey people and find out why they're not spaying and neutering. Like, is it lack of access? Is it too expensive? Is it because they want to breed their pet? Is it because their veterinarian said this breed needs to be 5 years old before you spay or neuter it for its joints? All these things. Like, I wanted to know what was changing, because I could see this, and they're like, yeah. And ultimately I was told that one of the reasons is because every animal that's born in a community doesn't end up in the shelter. And they wanted to focus on the animals that were already in the shelter and getting them out. And I said to this person who's been on your show, whose name I won't name, I said, but even if all of the animals born in a community because of lack of spay neuter don't end up in the shelter, you're going to have a saturation in the community where if, you know, people don't come into the shelter to adopt because there's so many available animals being born in the community, they're going to get their friends and neighbors, and, you know, they're going to get all the puppies from all of the, you know, the grocery store parking lot and people that they know. And so anyway, I was shot down wanting to focus on spay neuter, which is a big part of why I ended up leaving a very good job. And I just couldn't rationalize anymore not focusing on what can make the biggest difference. And it's so, the thing that's so difficult for me is, having been in this world for 30 years, that used to be such a focus. And that's what got us to where we were. That's what got us from 17 million animals being euthanized a year down to, you know, whoever's number you believe, less than 1 million anyway. And it's preventing them from being born in the first place. And you can't save them through adoption only. You can't save them through foster only. There's too many. And even if adoptions were up, I mean, I believe adoptions are down because there's so much competition in the community with the rehoming and I mean, I see breeders going on the rehoming pages trying to rehome their puppies, saying their puppies are available for adoption.
The amount of rescues that are out there as well, that either pull from shelters, and then they have, and I'll be honest, like for some shelter, not all shelters, but some of these rescues have a better marketing department, and so they reach more people because of that. And then the story feels better because it's like, well, we adopted from this rescue that pulls from a kill shelter. Man, Temma, I want to keep going because there's so much to talk about. And I think, you know, over the last 2 weeks, we've really unpacked some of this stuff. And what do you think happens with No Kill 2025?
I mean, for real. I mean, I think that it's not on track, and it's heartbreaking to me when I hear people from Best Friends say that they're still on track, because I feel that makes people complacent. I feel that people think, oh, well, we're on track to become no kill. And as a nation, we are so not on track. And I can't even, I mean, there's a little LinkedIn group of former Best Friends employees that we, you know, talk amongst ourselves.
Send them through. We need to talk to them too.
Okay, I will. I'll let them know. I didn't even tell them I was doing this yet, but
We'll see on Tuesday.
Yeah. You know, everybody has their different theories about how they're going to wiggle out of this. It used to be by 2025. Now it's in 2025, but that's next year. And we could not be less on track. And so that is, you know, again, I just wish we could get everybody talking about the things that would really make a difference with a national voice.
And I think we've said that pretty clear, but let's just do this for the sake of listeners. What are our top 5 things in order? What is the most important to you?
In order, number 1, the most important, I think, is spay neuter. It's complicated because it's gotten very expensive, but I think we give people the tools to find it in their community or find it somewhere. I think that really refocusing on adoption from a shelter or rescue where you're getting a pet that's already spayed or neutered and that cost is included, and, you know, often, you know, microchipped and vaccinated, and, you know, the people that are really struggling with their pets didn't get them from shelters, I don't think. I think a lot of the people are buying puppies. Puppies are hard. People don't realize how hard a puppy is. I haven't had a puppy since my 8th day at the Humane Society of Utah in 1993. I've only had adult dogs since then, but all these people getting puppies, they're not training them, they're not socializing them. So refocusing on adoption where you have a support system, you're getting a pet that's already spayed or neutered so that it's not going to add to the
That's number
problem.
2.
That's number 2.
Okay.
Number 3 is training and socialization. I really think that people are unprepared. You know, I joke, if you get a kitten and just love it, it'll turn into a pretty fine cat. But puppies have a lot of requirements and people get them. I think they aren't prepared to raise a puppy and then they rehome it. And my theory is people are doing this repeatedly. They're getting a puppy, it's hard, they get rid of it. And then the kids are like, oh, I miss having a puppy. And then they get another puppy. And I imagine that there are people that have gotten 5 or 6 puppies, let them get half grown before they rehomed them since the pandemic. And I aspire to do a survey to find out this information because we really need to change people's mindsets. We need to get people to make better choices. So if you get a dog, a puppy, train and socialize it, commit to it, and help it turn into a good family member.
And
So
keep it
that's 3.
for life if you can, unless there's some emergency. Yeah.
Right.
That's,
I mean,
that's 3.
I feel like, yeah, I think that rehoming has become, there's not a stigma, at least around here, to rehoming, which I get that rehoming privately keeps pets out of shelters, but I think it also keeps people out of shelters because there are so many animals that are being rehomed that's, you know, people think they're adopting by taking in these animals. They're not spayed or neutered.
Well, they think
So-
if they get them before they go to the shelter, they won't be euthanized.
Mhm.
All right, number 4. What's number 4?
Let's see, where are we?
So we
I
got
think
spay neuter. We got shelter.
Adopt.
Adopting,
mhm.
and then
I,
socialization.
training is 3.
I think people, it would be amazing if people got involved and, you know, I know every shelter and every rescue needs foster homes. And I think if people got involved and could see from kind of the inside what's going on, they can help in ways that they feel disconnected from now. I think everybody thinks that it's somebody else's problem. And so volunteering and fostering and learning about the issue is really important.
Or
And
just listening.
and just, yeah, listening. And number 5, I'd say spread the word about what's going on. I again, I keep talking about what I see as things that have become normalized since the pandemic, like breeding, like buying puppies. Like I see people posting litters of puppies on Facebook, and rather than people saying you should spay your dog, people are like, oh, like, you know, how old are they? Where can I get one? And it's a lot has become acceptable that is pushing us in the wrong direction. And so I wish people would learn about what's really happening, because you ask the public, they're going to say, you know, all these people are going to say, of course, you shouldn't euthanize healthy pets. But what are they doing to help this not happen? You know, you're going to get people that bought their dog and then let it have a litter or 2, and they're going to say, yeah, of course you shouldn't euthanize. So people, I think, are completely, you hear about the shelter crisis, but people are out of touch with what's causing it and what's really going on. And, you know,
I just see Ashlee Bishop up there fuming. I can tell she's like, what about access to care?
oh, yes, that too.
Yeah.
Well, and to me, that's, you know,
Lumped in with the spay neuter services, because we see it from the field. We don't necessarily like that. Trust me, there are times where if you have an animal that has been really mistreated, you're not getting a chance. But a lot of times, yeah, we want to work with people. And if we can, and then they have a way to get the care necessary, then we don't have to get involved.
it's hard. I mean, that's probably the most terrifying thing to me, when I look at the big picture, is people feeling like they're giving up their pets because they can't afford veterinary care, and knowing in a lot of cases what's causing that is, you know, corporations buying out private clinics and then raising the prices and making it so that people can't afford it. And the most basic thing to me, you know, if people can't afford spay neuter, that's going to cause other health issues, that's going to cause roaming, that's going to cause behavior issues. And I don't know, I mean, I don't know what we do about that. That in along with housing and the economy, those are things that I feel are so big and, you know, systemic. I don't know how we fix those.
Because we go back to my idea and we somehow make them sentient beings, and then we can deduct all that as healthcare as well on our taxes. So look, we could talk for hours. I want to wrap it up though. Just because I want to be mindful of everyone's time. It's a late night, and I appreciate everyone for being so flexible in their schedules. And also, I haven't had a chance to do this publicly. And AB, Ashlee Bishop, you know how much I appreciate you. We've been doing this for a long time, but I think it's time we recognize ARB, Ashlee Rodriguez Bishop, for your contributions to this show. Just because you kind of just jumped in and kept rolling with us. And so I just want to take a second to thank you for continuing to be part of this program. And you've really elevated us in a lot of ways. And I wanted to make sure I said that publicly. I know you hate public praise, but it seems like you get it from every angle right now.
Stop.
I'll make sure to slap him for you next time I see him.
I think I'm going to see both of y'all together at some point. So that'll be
I
cool.
know you're coming in November. We're getting you here.
So, I mean, anyway, I needed to take a quick second to pause and recognize that, because I was thinking about that today, especially with everybody just being so flexible with their schedules over the last few weeks that I've been traveling. So thank you both for that.
Thank you, Dan.
But this is a bigger picture thing, and I think we have to continue to keep talking about it. There was a lot of feedback from the Paulette show. I thought she did a wonderful job. Now, I guess my question to you, Temma, because you know the culture there, let's kind of end it on this. What do you think people are saying about you right now that are watching this, that work there, and or Paulette?
You know, when I left, I felt like I jumped off the back of a cruise ship, and a lot of friends and people I had known for decades watched me jump and went like this and went about their business. There are a lot of people I never even heard from. I'm sure that they're not surprised that I'm talking about this. I think it's disappointing because, again, we all want the same thing. And if you leave that group, a lot of people, I posted on it on Facebook last June when it would have been my 14th anniversary, and it was a few weeks after I quit. And I had a ton of people reach out and say, you know, it's like leaving an abusive relationship and how much it hurts. And, you know, that people who were still there that were struggling, or people who had left and knew how I was feeling. I'm sure that there are people that will never talk to me again because I've voiced some opinions. But, you know, I also think that there've got to be people there who see the reality and are just, you know, hanging in there to keep getting their paycheck, which is sad. I don't know. I can't imagine that a lot of people inside Best Friends know about the bullying of the shelters. I think that that's a few departments that are involved in that. And I think others would be really pretty horrified and embarrassed that people like Paulette are going through what they're going through. So I don't know. It's hard because, like I said, 13 years, it was my dream job. And now I look back and I see, as do other people who have left Best Friends, I see a lot of things that I couldn't see for a long time. So it's rough. Thank you for having me. Thanks for talking through this.
Yeah, and you're more than welcome to come back on. Obviously, we had this last minute opening and wanted to get you in just because, you know, we've talked a lot offline, and I think it was a good opportunity to chat.
Yeah, I'd be happy to anytime. There's there's lots of territory to cover, and I have faith that we can solve all the problems with this little team. Save the world.
Careful, you'll inflate Dan's head.
I'm too tired, man, for my head. My head needs deflated right about now. And do y'all have anything else?
I don't, other than I appreciate Temma coming on. I think coming on and talking about the things you have, having been in the organization, was probably tough and even a little scary. So I really hope that you don't have any backlash from that. But I think that the information you gave was very helpful. And I think it's definitely stuff that needs to get out there, that, we're starting after Paulette's episode. We had a couple of other people reach out to us and say that they're having similar issues as well. So I think the more it gets talked about, the more something can actually get done. So I appreciate your time.
Thank you again for having me.
Likewise. Yeah, we definitely appreciate your time, and we've had them on the show too to talk about their programs. This is not a one-sided conversation. The Animal Control Report, we have our mission, which is to help people help animals, and we just want to find ways to continue to operate that way. And we hope that, honestly, we can kind of get through some of this divisiveness that doesn't necessarily need to be there, and hopefully create a better future for our communities. That's the goal.
Absolutely.
Everyone is a piece of the puzzle that can help, whether you're on the same side or not. We're all here for the same goal.
100, as the kids say. All right, that wraps up the episode. We want to remind you to please check out our Facebook pages. That's Keep It Humane and/or the Animal Control Report. Basically, all the socials. Isn't it crazy how we never will give out our social security numbers to people, but we give out our social every chance we get. Hey, what's your social? What's your app? What's your Instagram? Well, ours are Animal Control Report or Keep It Humane. So check those out, and don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Is that right, Bishop?
And rate.
And rate. That's important. That does something. That does something to the algorithm. And we really appreciate all the listeners. And remember to please continue to
Help people.
Help animals.
keep it humane.